Hey everyone, welcome to another NerdFellas video. I know it's been about a month or two since I got a video.
Summer vacation.
Yeah, well,
it's been way too long.
We've been all busy and life and work and all that jazz. But today we're bringing you guys a movie review of The Killing Joke, the animated film. We actually got to see this in theaters, which is really cool. And to start off, are you guys familiar with the DC animated films, more or less?
I've seen a couple. I'm not familiar with the universe they're making right now, but I've seen maybe a couple of the Batmans, but that's about it.
I've seen a good handful of them. Like most of them. Most of them are pretty solid.
Yeah, I do like most of them also. The ones I am not fond of are the ones that are all kind of connected, this newer animation
Those
style.
are the ones that are definitely not as good.
Right.
I mean, they're not bad, but they're not as good as the standalones.
Right, this one's kind of taking it back to where they were just adapting certain stories, and that's what this was. And they brought back Mark Hamill, Kevin Conroy, Tara Strong, and Bruce Timm was involved in the production of this, so it definitely was a throwback to like the animated series.
It had like a really dark animated series feel.
Right. Yeah. And you know what I liked about was so right off the back, like, what did you think of the movie?
Spoiler free, just quick look.
Spoiler free for right now.
Spoiler free. I will say if any of you have seen some of like the animated stuff going on, whether it's in the past or now, so far still my favorite one is Mask of the Phantasm.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
Because for some reason the music was really good, but the tone felt very, I want to say, linear. It felt like it was going in a straight line. I didn't feel any kind of climax from it, really, even though there was big moments in it where you're like, oh my god. But I don't know, that I enjoyed it a lot for being the first R-rated Batman animated series or movie. It was definitely dark. It delivered on those levels.
Right.
But I think there were times where I wish I could have been lifted up more. So I don't know, not as far as spirits or like being happy or anything like that, but more of like I wanted
moments have more weight to them.
More weight. It needed more meat and more weight for me in general.
Well, what did you think? Before I get back.
I liked it, but to me, I'll get into this in a little bit more detail, but I feel like the meat and bones of the movie didn't start till about 20 minutes in.
Right, yeah.
Because they did take a couple liberties down on it. I feel like if they were going to take liberties, they should have done something different than what they did. And I'll get into that right now once we got spoiler free. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm kind of going about with.
Right.
Not my favorite one, but I enjoyed it though.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it as well. To be honest though, it doesn't rank in my top 5 like favorite animated films. I don't think. It might be like maybe number 5, but there's definitely been better ones. This one was a good addition. I am glad. I've been wanting The Killing Joke animated film because ever since they started making these, I think going back to like an old video I did on my channel, I even said I hope they do a Killing Joke and it better be rated R.
I remember you showed me that too.
And it literally is, like, it's literally that.
It earned the R rating.
Yeah, and it really did. Overall, I really like it. Out of 5, I'd probably give it like a 3.5.
Now, how about out of 10?
We've been on this whole system before. I like 5. It's nice and clean. They like 10. I think 5's good. 3.5. I agree with 3.5.
Yeah,
as well.
I'd say that's fair.
Okay. And so now we're gonna go into detailed spoilers. So if you haven't seen this, when it comes out next week, I'll save this video for next week. But spoilers.
Let's dig in.
Okay, so let's talk about what they added, which is that first like 20-30 minutes.
And Batgirl.
It literally felt like it almost felt like it was not part of the story.
It really
felt more
wasn't.
it felt more like an episode of the animated series.
But you know what? I'm gonna say it was necessary.
It was.
It's necessary to introduce Batgirl, her frustrations, her relationship with Batman. They lightly touched on the relationship with Commissioner Gordon, which is good, and it might have thrown off the whole dynamic of the original story at first, but me coming in, I'm pretty much like an outsider because I haven't read The Killing Joke. I know a lot about it, but I haven't read it panel for panel,
Right.
so I can't compare. But being able to get to know Batgirl beforehand gives it a little bit more weight
Yeah, I mean,
as an outsider.
so
I
for
see
me, it felt like a prequel episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it felt like this episode, and then it'll make its way into this new story, but it really felt like two different things
Yeah.
to me, and I didn't mind it too much, but it was a little bit jarring where I was like, oh, okay, when are we gonna like? I was watching it, I'm like, okay, so when are we gonna get to the
Yeah, and I even
Joker,
looked at you
know,
and saying like, this is where the Killing Joke starts.
yeah, exactly,
Everything got
and
pointed
I'm like,
out.
okay, finally.
That's what I heard you guys talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just mentioned it. Okay, for me, I felt like it could have been, you know how in Gods and Monsters, how they do those YouTube shorts to kind of give you an idea of the world?
Right.
It could have been that.
Yeah.
And it probably would have been better off. I don't mind that they took some liberties to give Batgirl some more weight, but I feel like they could have done it a different way. Like, such as instead of giving her more of a relationship with Batman, been a father-daughter relationship.
Yeah,
Because that's what the Killing
I
Joke is more
honestly
of.
felt like the sex scene was a little bit unnecessary.
Weird.
Kind of pushed it. Yeah.
I
So
was like, okay, I mean, I could see that, but it was just, like, to me, it felt random.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit out of place.
Literally 0 to
I'm
100
like,
out of nowhere.
this is where we're going to get our rating, because we're going to put this in there, and I felt like it didn't really need it.
And then I guess the only real reason they did that was because they want to make it essentially a Batman movie. It didn't feel like one. For some reason, it felt more like
I know a couple
it's a
of-
Joker movie, but it also felt like a Gordon family movie.
And that's
Yeah.
what the graphic novel is. It's not a Batman movie.
Yeah.
It really isn't. It's more of a Joker movie. This made it more like half of it of a Batgirl movie.
Yeah.
And then they abandoned that like 20 minutes later and don't even really address any
Yeah,
of
because
the
the whole
stuff.
mob, everything like that, didn't
Yeah.
play anything consequential
Right. It
at
doesn't.
all
It was just added in there. So
to give some weight to it.
right. So to be honest, like I agree. Like if they gave more of a focus on Batgirl and her dad, it would have made a bigger impact.
That probably would have made the climax with the pictures and everything
exactly.
that much
It
more
just
grand.
like I'm
yeah.
like, oh man.
They could have gone in a different. And yeah, maybe even if they had like a past relationship when she was younger, you know, something, even photos or something in her
Right.
apartment. I don't know. It did need something like that, but. I mean, yeah, establishing that weird sexual tension between her and Batman with the conversations with her gay friend and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was like,
Which
okay.
it was funny too. Like,
Yeah, it was good comic
it was
relief,
fun.
especially for how dark it went.
Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, there's a lot of. I'm not gonna lie though, Batgirl was hot for a cartoon though. So
Yeah, like I said, like I felt like some of that stuff wasn't really needed. I understand why they added it is to make up that runtime.
yeah,
because the story is
it's
only
not very long.
It's not long. It's maybe
When you're
40
reading
pages.
it, yeah, when you're reading it, it's maybe 2 or 3 like
two
physical
actual comics.
Yeah, it's not very long.
So I can see why they added those extra 20, 30 minutes in there.
what else do you guys feel about the story besides the intro?
Well,
Other than that, I really liked it once it got past that.
yeah. Once all that got past, I really enjoyed the whole movie. I always wondered about like that scene where he's dancing and
The musical
singing.
number, yeah.
I'm like, what does that sound like? And then here, like, you can actually hear it now for the first
Yeah,
time.
like if you go back and read it,
Yeah,
you're
now-
probably gonna hear this now.
Yeah, exactly.
It definitely makes some iconic moments for what was already iconic.
Right.
And I think if you've read it before, which I haven't, but if you've read it, I don't think the musical number is something that would tarnish the comic. I think it adds more to it.
No, and
So
I
now
mean,
you can hear
it's
it.
in the comic, and
Yeah.
I always wonder, like, okay, what is this supposed to sound like? So it's cool that they went and they really added
They
on
really
to it.
dug into it to bring
As
it
far
up.
as other than those first 20 minutes, I don't think they really added more to the actual
couple
story.
little things like the prostitutes.
Yeah, like some of that stuff. Like
the
was
Batman
kinda
going
weird.
detective mode, that was added.
So
Yeah.
so the prostitute scene when Batman visits the prostitutes, that was not in the comic.
That's
No.
not.
Okay, so this is where I'm thinking. Okay, so I think they wanted to throw it in to insinuate or kind of lead you on to believe that the Joker raped Batgirl, because I know in the comic you said that it didn't happen like that.
Right, it doesn't.
So in the comic book, he unbuttons her and gets her all naked and takes these photos, but that's as far as it goes in the comic.
Right.
Here, Batman goes and says, "Hey, has the Joker been here?" And like, "Well, yeah. He usually, as soon as he gets out, he usually comes and gets some." But so I'm thinking, "Whoa, what if he got it from Batgirl? Like, that's messed up." So that made it even darker for me. Like, that's pushing it.
I can see that. I can see why you would think that. I don't know what to think about. This thing has a couple things that open to interpretation.
So what were some other things that maybe like you didn't really like?
Either liked
or
disliked.
Yeah. So for me, some of those flashback scenes were, it almost felt, because you know, like the Joker's like one of those people that doesn't have a past. Like you don't want to know about him.
He doesn't necessarily need one.
Right, and I know it's in the comic itself, but to me, I'm like, oh, I kind of don't want to see this. Like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to see how he became the Joker.
I felt the same way. Like, and then I think I was okay with it for a while until the cops came and said that his wife died in a fire. When that moment happened, I wanted him to cry or something, but I guess they were holding the break for him at the end.
It's like that in the comic. Like
a lot of the dialogue is ripped out.
Right, from directly from the comic.
I don't know, man.
And it to me, I'm like, oh, it doesn't really sound great when it's put to action. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it didn't really.
It really, like, that's why you can't really like make beat for beat comic straight into the end, or
that's where Zack Snyder failed. So
well, if you see the extended one, it's actually really good.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll do that tonight.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, but other than that, I think more or less it was pretty solid.
Anything else you guys did?
I saw a couple of Easter eggs.
Yeah, I noticed a few. I remember I pointed out one to you on the camera on the bottom right. You see that's LexCorp technology.
Right, I didn't notice that. The one I noticed were mostly the Batmobiles. The first Batmobile that you see is from the New Adventures of Batman, the animated series, but it was like the New Adventure, so when he looks different.
Yeah.
And then when he arrives to the carnival, he has the old Batmobile
from the animated
series.
That's awesome.
And I'm like,
I didn't notice
you see it, like, I barely caught it, so I'm like, oh, did I just see it? And then they like panned away, and so I saw it for a brief second, but
that's cool.
Those little things like that I liked.
It was cool to see Alfred real quick too. They barely briefly showed him, and
he was there as much as he needed to be.
Right, and I think that wasn't even in the.
All the detective Batman stuff wasn't really there because he kind of just goes from point A to point B, straight to the carnival.
Right.
A few of the Easter eggs I found was actually when he's in the Batcave on the computer, everything's there, and it's just kind of like not like a slideshow, but like panels basically.
Right.
There's a couple things I saw there. Like there's actually the Joker sitting there. It looks a lot like Heath Ledger picture where he's just sitting in his jail cell. Yeah, if you put them side by side.
I didn't even notice that one.
Like it looks like the Heath Ledger pose, the coloring, everything, but with this Joker.
Right. I noticed. There's a Harley Quinn one.
Nice.
There was the Laughing Fish, and then there was
Robin.
Robin, right? I think they took like an image from the Red Hood.
Maybe, yeah.
And they just stuck it on there, or it might have been from like the actual comic and stuck it in there. So that was really cool.
I think that was probably the
stuff like that was pretty cool. Yeah. So
you had the Two-Face cameo.
That's right.
Yeah, he just kind of had.
He seemed really insane though. Like,
and that's basically all he's in the comic also.
That's cool.
Yeah. I will say, like, when you go in there, when he first went up to talk to the Joker, and it was the imposter Joker.
Yeah.
The way it was animated, or his face,
the lighting.
It will look, because it looks like that in the comic too, but it looks like a demon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh dang, well, that's kind of scary.
The one shot that I really liked was when the Joker's first lighting up the carnival and his eyes light up and he's looking.
Right.
That shot made him look really
Just
good.
the animation in this was top notch.
The
animation was really good in this.
Yeah, I really liked the animation in this.
And for some reason, I haven't been the biggest fan of this animation because it's the same style in most of the new DC films.
Yeah.
And it's almost like anime, kind of.
A little bit.
Just look at that, like almost anime-ish, but it's for some reason it really I enjoyed it this time around.
Right, and I thought the same thing, especially during that scene when you see
The
his
lights
eyes and
bouncing off his eyes.
I'm like, oh, this looks a little bit anime.
Yeah, and I think that's what they were kind of going for, and it looked good because he's like a kid enjoying this, you know.
Right, and
you can see how crazy he actually is.
Yeah, so I really liked a lot.
And
of
I did like
stuff.
the nod to like the old version of the Red Hood. I mean, they used him, and that was in the original Batman comic, so that was kind of cool to see the old Hood costume.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went down.
And so for the most part, we actually really liked it. I would say that it's not my favorite. Although I do love the fact that they got, like I said, Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill.
It was good hearing those voices.
And
again.
even like before the movie, they showed a little like clip about Mark Hamill being the Joker.
How he got the role. That was cool.
Yeah, and then at the end of the movie, we got a little bit of stuff about the score.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool. But I will say, like, the score didn't move me. It wasn't like as memorable.
It was just as fitting as it needed to be.
It wasn't as memorable for me as like The Dark Knight Returns. That score is brilliant, I think. So I really love that one.
I did like the ending, and I was asking you guys after the movie ended about the comic ending. And
let's talk about that.
So finally Batman's like the Joker's finally beat, and Batman says, or he's just standing there quietly, and Joker's like, okay, beat me up, do your thing. And then when Batman said no, I was like, okay, this is kind of different. Batman seemed very, I don't know, just worried about the fact that one of them had to die, and he doesn't want that. And then that joke was interesting that the Joker had at the end about the bridge. So like the two lunatics. So when you guys watch it, the two lunatics in the house, whatever. And then jumping over and one of them moving the light. Hearing Batman laugh was kind of creepy. And then the way the movie ended it, and Joker's laugh kind of stops. Batman keeps laughing, and we see this puddle fade out. You told me that in the comic, it feels like maybe, what if Batman killed the Joker?
Right.
And for me in the movie, I didn't feel that. I felt like maybe the Joker was kind of creeped out by the fact that Batman was laughing, so he kind of stopped laughing. Because they've never experienced a moment like that together before.
Right.
I don't know, but what's your interpretation?
Cut. We're about to... Oh, no, we're not. No. My bad. I thought we were on 11 from here.
Okay, so we'll just answer.
Yeah, like in the comic, it's not ever said, but you see these panels of like him laughing, and then it just stops laughing.
And then it kind of just zooms in exactly like how it is.
Exactly the way. So there's like Grant Morrison, who's a writer for like a bunch of different stories.
Yeah.
He himself said his theory is that Batman actually killed the Joker, and that was like the last killing joke. You know,
that makes
was
sense.
A killing joke
for the title.
Right, and then other people have said no, because this is technically the real, like this has been put into canon by DC
just recently, actually, because
as the Joker's actual origin. So obviously he can't. He's not dead because
one of the Joker's origins.
Right, that's right. Because this whole thing is crazy.
It's just DC's ridiculous.
But as far as I don't know. Like
I really don't know what to think of it.
Yeah, they left it completely open.
It's one of the most debated things in comics, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Because isn't Dark Knight Returns canon?
No.
It's its own.
It's its own thing because it technically takes place years later, and then there's the Carrie Kelly.
She doesn't appear in anything else.
Yeah, she doesn't. So technically, it's like its own story, but it's iconic. It's iconic. That's why it's.
Don't they call it like the Millerverse?
Yeah, it's like that's why like people love that story because it's so.
It's its own good self-contained story.
Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the ending can be left open. I mean, and then if you associate the ending with the way the joke is, I mean, the two lunatics are Batman and Joker. And I feel like Joker was the one that made it across. I don't know why. I interpreted it as Joker is the one that made the way all the way across and went completely nuts. And Batman's the one that stayed on the other side and decided not to cross. And he was afraid to go that path. That's why, because Joker was going to remove the light. So, and he's the only ray of light. You know what I mean? So I was like, that's my interpretation of it. So
that's pretty good.
What if he let the Joker go? he continued laughing and the Joker ran off, and that's why he stopped laughing.
It's like there's so many.
Because the Joker was already on the other side of the building.
Yeah, but it was also like by the book too, and he had him. So
And plus,
really whatever you want to.
especially after, especially like I don't think he would let him go because after the horrific thing he does to Barbara Gordon, that's not something you're just gonna let go.
No.
Yeah, but see, Batman is more of a vengeance guy. Like, the fact that he didn't even want to beat him up for the fact that, like, why set up a scene where they have sex and there's a moment, and then he's a mentor to Barbara, and then she's paralyzed, possibly raped, and then Commissioner Gordon's taken and traumatized for life, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh no, I don't want to beat you up. And I'm not going to do it that way. And he lets the Joker just kind of walk around and say, oh, let me tell you a joke. And I'm like, what? And I think that's why I was kind of like, how? Like, did Batman crack? Or maybe Batman knew he was going to kill him? Because either way, he was going to keep escaping. Because even the Joker even mentioned it at the end, like, you know, we're going to do this dance again. This is the way it is. And Batman knows it. That's why he keeps saying one of us has to die. So, yeah, I mean, maybe he killed him, or maybe he let him go.
It's one of those endings that
it's meant for you can interpret it however,
this.
Exactly.
But I'm not getting any debate.
Right.
There's not really
because there's not much.
Because there's nothing wrong.
Because there's like yours could be right, yours could be right, mine could be right. They're all right
It's not
or
really
wrong.
a debate. It's all speculation.
It's all speculation.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting the fact that it was just like the way they put those panels together created such a like. Wait, what does that mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I love the comic. It's iconic. As far as the movie, I liked it a lot. Like I didn't love it, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So overall, I guess 3.5 is where we were across the board.
Yeah.
Good cartoon. It was fun to experience an animated Batman movie on screen.
In theater too.
In theater.
If you're one of the lucky ones to do that, that's cool.
Yeah, there's another one going on. It's 2 nights in a row, but you'll get a digital copy this week.
Yeah.
And on August, I think 2nd, you'll get the Blu-ray if you really want to purchase it. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely give my thumbs up on that.
Yeah.
Cool. Thumbs up.
All right.
Across the board.
Well, that's our review of The Killing Joke. Like I said, we really like this movie, and continue to watch this channel because we're going to be doing more things, more reviews, more Comic-Con stuff, more trailer reactions, all that.
We're back.
Stuff. Yeah, we just took a little break. Is all. But make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and all that at NerdFellas. And we'll see you guys later.
This isn't going to take much editing.
That wasn't awkward.